Okay. So, Amiel, you're especially excited about that next one. You've been talking about Jason for a long, long time, and now we're gonna have Hassan. Hassan is gonna join us to the show. He's I wouldn't say a regular, but he's been around this show a couple of times so far.
And I have to say he's one of my favorite
Yeah,
employees of WingCloud.
yeah,
Honestly.
definitely. He's definitely he has his own coolness and swag, kind of.
Yeah, he has
Swag?
he brings his own little pizzazz to the team that I feel is really
Exactly,
he's
exactly.
got his,
Yeah, exactly. I think I used the wrong English word. So without any more blubbering, let's have Hassan here.
Woo!
Woo!
Hey, thanks for setting expectations high. I'm glad to disappoint.
And that's it. You've met them in your first sentence.
Yeah. I'm happy to be here. I'm glad that I came. Can't wait to come back. So that's it, right? We're done.
Good talk. Next time, Hassan.
That was great.
I love the music, by the way. Like I always love Mark's picks. Like I don't think a lot of people know this, but like Mark actually does a lot of moonlight DJing, and like he was actually the DJ at my wedding. Like we go way back.
Really? No one knows this. No one knows.
It makes for good TV, so the truth doesn't matter.
No one knows this, even now.
That's what I would call a fun fact.
It's a fun fact.
So Jason, oh my God.
Yeah, I think we should call it H-Son, right? Like I like that a little better.
H-Son. So what are you here to talk about, man?
I'm here to talk about Json and kind of our implementation journey and, what it means, why we have it in the language, all that fun stuff, right?
Right. And kind of Jason, when we started, did you initially implemented the first version of Json? You implemented it, right?
Yeah, it's actually funny because before the show, I decided to go back through like my my one-on-one notes with Uri to figure out like when I actually started working on Json. And it was back in February, so it's been like a long journey, right? It was like the second big thing that I worked on, and like the initial issue was super intimidating. I think we had like 25 features on that one issue, and it's I mean, since then we broke it into smaller pieces, P1s, P2s, but a lot of evolution since we first introduced it into the language.
Yeah, so the first, I mean, we when you started the first version, we said we're gonna have the special brackets for it. Let's do get. Let's do try get. There was a lot of turnaround. What's the latest edition? I mean, you're working on some recent stuff, right?
Yeah. We've been doing a lot of work on kind of how do we take this not strongly typed thing like JSON and allow it to coexist in Wing and also intermingle with our strongly typed ecosystem, right? So there's been a lot of progress in like converting JSON types into structs, which is released in the language. And then I've also got some new goodies that I can show off that should be merged here fairly soon.
Nice. So kind of in your we'll see it in a couple of minutes, but in your journey on JSON, what are the fun facts you learned about JSON? What's the
So I think the coolest learning experiences during JSON was really just kind of understanding the JSON schema and how it actually works, right? I think most of us, when we deal with JSON, we're used to just like representing these objects in JSON, right? A lot of us, we don't think that, I think you brought it up before, like a string is valid JSON, like string by itself. And that can kind of be mind-blowing the first time you think about it. So definitely
I was very disappointed from the JSON creator. Do you know who the JSON creator is?
Douglas Crockford.
Nice, man. Nice.
Yeah.
Do you
we
know
have
what
like fact checkers?
Amiel, do you know what JSON stands for?
I mean, I of course do.
Okay.
But I'm sure there are many listeners at home who do not. So maybe for their benefit, it'd be good to explain.
Hassan, do you know?
But again, I do know.
Yeah. It stands for just some oiled nude guy.
Oh my God.
It's
oiled.
job. Yeah, oiled up. Yeah. It's a JavaScript object notation. Right?
Nice.
So it's a subset of JavaScript.
So why is string supported? Why not start with curly brackets, key value? Let's start with that. Why do they have string as a valid JSON value?
Well, I think it makes more sense when we kind of break it down and look at the grammar of JSON, right? Like it's kind of this recursive definition, right? Where an element in JSON can be a value, and like all the valid values, there's objects, arrays, strings, numbers. Interestingly enough, null, which is one of our missing pieces today in JSON.
Oh, right. There's a difference between null and undefined and not having a key. Oh my God.
Yes. But I mean, it all comes together. It makes sense. JSON's kind of been tried, right? And it's gone through the fire, and it is the de facto standard for
killed XML
data interchange.
That's
the
best thing about JSON, that it killed XML.
Yeah, we all miss our SOAP-based APIs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I know Amiel does.
I've actually used JSONs before. I will have you guys know I used it to make Lottie files.
Okay.
Right? You can save those as JSON.
Lottie files.
Yeah, like
I missed it. What kind of file?
Lottie file.
Lottie animation.
Oh, I'm not familiar.
Basically, it's a way of animating vectors on the web instead of having like a rasterized image.
Oh my God.
Vectors moving around, and it's all in code. So
yeah, Lottie is a JSON-based animation file format, and Amiel is fluent with it. Nice, man.
It seems worlds collide.
There we go. Now the tables have turned.
Saying with my knowledge, thank you. All right.
Yeah. So there's been like I was saying, there's been a lot of learning, especially when it came to the schema. And I think even the initial implementation, like we had a lot of bad ideas at first, and those ideas got better. And hopefully there's still a lot more room that we need to do, but I think we're getting to a point where JSON and Wing is becoming a pretty good experience.
Yep, I agree. I think it's I think that it's I like to see evolution of stuff, and this is evolving great. And so show, how do you say it? You say it good. Show us what you got.
Show us what you got.
Yep. Yeah.
Show us what you got.
All right. Let me try not to screw this up.
So much is riding on this.
This is it, man. You're what's going on, man? You're not. This is not working.
It's coming. Don't worry.
It's not working, man. The odds are against you. I see Mark. Mark is happy. It's going to be easy for him to top this, basically.
There we go. I found it.
You found it. Let's add you to stream, and let's put ourselves here, and let's remove the thing. And okay,
wowzers.
Like this. Okay.
All right. Is this can you see this? Because I can't see my studio.
I can see it. My old and tired eyes could take it for great, thanks, man.
It's okay. Well, this is a repo for you, so whatever works best.
Awesome, man.
Yeah.
So
it's up for you.
Okay.
All right. So for like just the super quick, hey, this is JSON. So for those who might not know, or you haven't got a chance to play with the JSON type in Wing, if you want to create a JSON in Wing, it's as simple as opening up curly brackets, right? This is just like the default for how you define JSON. There's also the optional JSON prefix keyword, but you don't actually need it.
Go
ahead.
Why would you need it? I mean, that's it. It's legacy.
Some of us just like verbosity, right? Like as much code as we get.
Yeah. Okay.
And as soon as you've got this JSON object, we've got an API that you can work with when you're interacting with JSON. We have these, they're more recent, these as methods that allow you to try to convert a JSON into some other primitive value. We also have try methods for everything. ways to get elements out of the JSON, and even get indices out of a JSON array.
Right.
And so if I just wanted to get a key out of my JSON, right, we can use the get method, and that will return back this string. Then there's also the optional type, right, with our try gets, which returns an optional JSON type. So it
Right.
fits super nicely into our if-let statements in Wing.
Right.
And so that's like the basic JSON stuff. I promised some more interesting things and stuff that we haven't really shown yet. So let me deliver.
Okay.
All right. So I've got a
Alright.
separate file here, and these are our structs, right? And so I mentioned earlier, like there's this kind of like, you know, how do we allow JSON to intermingle with our type safe system? And
Right.
we're doing that today using structs, right? So if I wanted to create these type safe structures, then we can see that like I've created a person with a first and last name. And this example gets pretty robust, right? So I'm going to define several structs here. I define a person struct, a course struct. I've also created an advisor. And then finally, the money struct, which is the student, which is just composed of all the other structs. And this is like something that I might see in my system, right? And I might expect that when I make some API call that I'm going to get some JSON representation of a student back. And I need to now convert that JSON representation into a struct so that I'm back in my type safe system.
Yeah. I just want to, you said compose, and it kind of, I had a problem understanding. So the student extends person, which is nice, which is nice. And then the student is composed out of also advisory. It also has that. Okay.
Right. Advisor is another struct, and as well, enrolled courses is a set of courses, right? So
got it. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So a student has an advisor. Great. I'm good.
Yep. And so we can imagine that we might get back from over the wire some JSON representation of this, and that's what this guy here is, right? So I've got a JSON student which has all the fields. Not all of them. I've excluded like the optional advisor because it's optional.
Okay.
And once I have that, now all of our structs that are defined in Wing, you can just call a from JSON method on it, and we can see here. Let me see if I can get my handy. Yeah, there we go. That when I call this from JSON method, it's going to return a student. Right. So this is pretty dope. That I can just come back into my struct and be all safe and secure with types. And so if I do student dot, we can see that we've got access to everything we could ever want, right? And it doesn't stop there. So this already exists. We also are adding in the support for doing the same thing on JSII imported libraries. So we can see here, Cloud Bucket props. This is a struct when we bring it in, right? Nice. And so we should be able to call from JSON on that. Nice. And this works locally. Like I said, this is a sneak peek.
Nice.
And just to prove it, right? Because we all need proof. We can see it all worked. It compiled. If something was wrong, so we could imagine that the JSON that came back, it didn't adhere to the schema the way that we expected it to. So I'm going to make credits a string. I'm going to change the name to like a number, right? Then what we'll end up seeing here is a runtime error. And it tells me exactly like what about my struct couldn't be validated, right?
Nice.
Right. Yeah.
So are you writing some schema validation stuff behind the scenes? Is this
exactly?
Wow.
Exactly. So this behind the scenes, when we're referencing structs in Wing, we're creating JSON schemas to represent the schema of the struct. And we use that at runtime in order to validate the JSON that we're trying to parse is actually correct. Nice. And the newest feature is the ability to use it, right? So if I wanted to interact with that actual schema, this is why you brought me on. This is the cool one.
That's why I brought you. I was wondering about it. I don't know.
Yeah, I was too. I was really interested when I got the email, but yeah. So here I just call it schema. So just like from JSON, there's also a schema method on structs, and this is going to return back a JSON schema that I can actually interact with.
What?
So
JSON schema. does JSON? I'm assuming there's different kind of versions or RFCs for schemas. Which one are you using?
Yeah, so the schema that we generate is just it adheres to the standard of JSONschema.org, right? Which is a declarative way to represent the schemas.
Okay.
And on top of that, it's we can see that like once I have the schema object, I have a validate method, which now just lets me like on the fly validate JSON, right? If I wanted to.
But
right, so that's what
it returns a void, or is it a boolean?
This is it should be a boolean, I think. Sneak peek or
okay, sneak peek is valid. Validate.
There's no one behind the curtain.
Okay.
On top of that, we can actually like view what the schema here is, right? So here I've just got I'm going to return the schema as a string and parse it and give us a nice printed version. So let me pull this up.
See the chat?
What's in it?
Okay.
Someone asked a question.
We have a question?
Yes, someone is asking, how can I check for null objects? Let's show that. So Jose Ramos asking, how can I check for null objects? So let's show us the schema, and then we'll ask you about this.
Yeah, okay. So we can see like here's what the actual schema looks like for the struct, right? So for the student struct that's defined, we can see all the properties, and they're like advisor is a complex type, so it's an object, and then everything that's expected there. So like behind the scenes, that's the actual schema that we use for validation.
Nice. Okay, so we're seeing the schema, and then I can use this. I mean, I remember when we moved to using Open API, we were able to use the actual schema to do validation and send the messages, and this is actually what we saw in the compiler. So this is exactly what you're doing behind the scenes in the compiler, right?
Right. That's the actual schema we use when we run at runtime when we do the validation.
Interesting. Nice.
Yeah.
So checking for null object, I'm assuming this we should see this in app.w. This is where we, right?
Right. So there's two parts to that, I think, right? By using the try methods, like the try get, this will allow us to check for like the non-existence of an object or an element inside of the JSON.
Right.
Though if we wanted to actually check that it's that the value itself is the JSON null, I don't think we have a way to do that yet.
But we do have a ticket. So
yes.
Which is not nothing, right? So I'm gonna post a ticket here. So if someone wants to pick it up and just figure out how to do this, this is
contributions welcome.
Yeah, issue 1819, which is basically the difference between not having a value, not having the key, not having the value, and having a null value. So right now, we don't think it's possible to check for the null value, but if someone will figure out how to solve issue 1819, then we will. So that's I hope that helps. Great. Go back to the structs again.
Yeah.
I could. I think a nice example would be to use the API gateway, right? This would be a nice example. Kind of to basically kind of validate stuff and get your errors if you're not sending me the right body. I think that would be a great example for using the validate and the on the function.
Yeah, I agree.
Interesting. So anything else about when was JSON invented? Hassan, do you know this?
December of 1999.
Really?
That is, I think it makes for good TV.
I think it's April 2001. So you won't far, but.
Oh really?
I don't know if it's true. I've checked one time, but I don't know if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I don't know actually.
Yeah. But then kind of 23 years later, or maybe 22 or 24 years later, you made a significant change in the JSON, in how we look at JSON, and basically make them interoperable with a type struct. And I think that's a very kind of very, very light solution in a way. We have a struct from JSON, but I mean the benefits for moving from an unsafe kind of DOM into a safe DOM, that's huge. It's not going to be.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to have an exception. If there's no exception, are we going to have a try from JSON as well?
Oh, we actually do.
Yeah.
I didn't show it, but so yeah. So there's a try from JSON, and yeah, we can see that this will return an optional parse. So this does not throw an exception.
Got it. So did you see the? Okay, this is great. So did you see the Hack and Soul question about what happens if you print student advisor? I mean, if it's not you, because it's optional, it's just going to show undefined. I think in the log, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what we're going to end up seeing, but we can always do it, right? So student advisor.
Yeah, you have a try. Yeah, remove the try because.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. This is nice.
Let me not print out the schema.
Now you need to remove the question mark. Amiel could have told you this, but I've decided to do it as well.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yep. So this is undefined.
Yeah. Yeah. We had debates whether we want to be able to kind of interpolate optionals. I think it's good. I think it's a good decision.
I think so too. And if it's not, we'll fix it. Right?
Yeah. Exactly. Awesome. Great. Any more questions from the crowd? Hassan, anything else to kind of comment about JSON? What's the next big thing with JSON? Or just there's no next big thing?
Well, there's let me see. Did I stop? Sorry. There's some things that are coming down the pipeline. We have we want to be able to disable extraneous fields. So right now, when we're parsing JSON back to a struct, if there's extraneous fields, so additional fields that aren't in the struct, that's okay because we do partial validation.
Right.
But we want to be able to disable that. So that's additional behavior coming. We talked about null. And then we also have an unsafe mode that we need to implement. Yeah. So like if you know better than the runtime checker and you're happy, we've got an unsafe flag that is planned for the from JSON. Yeah.
Interesting.
Actually, as a plug, I found out this morning we have like 17 open JSON issues. So there's a lot of JSON work to go around.
Okay. Great. This is how we pass information from one another in the internet. It's an important part.
Yeah.
I think I speak for both of us when I say that Hassan has really brought cloud and great honor to the Winglang family.
Thank you, Hassan, and thank you for joining. And it was a pleasure. And unless you have anything else to say, we can go to again Last Animals. Season
2, episode 3.
Awesome.
Stay
Thank
classy.
you.